Is that the one species of oak? All the trees are the same species when it comes to cork tree.
Yeah, only one species. Quercus sugar.
So you are the forest manager here, is that right?
Yeah, the forest manager, the tourism manager, the I&D manager.
You're the manager.
Well, not really. You prefer to go by the road or
Off-road.
off-road?
So when were these ones harvested?
Sorry?
When were these trees harvested most recently?
Last week.
Only last week.
They need a cork with a kind of
Thicknesses or
thickness,
density?
yes, thickness. You must wait at least 9 years to have the right thickness of cork to do stoppers. It's always the problem of the final product, because if you want to do isolation materials or other kind of materials, you don't have this problem, because any cork is good for that. 2 years. This is an old cork. This is the younger cork. So it's a measure of balance. Sometimes you don't take any cork because the tree is not very healthy, and sometimes we take a part of cork. We must be careful with the words, because montado is a word that means agroforest system, with agriculture, with cattle, and with trees. So with all these uses in the same space, in the same area, it's trying to survive the summer. It's very difficult. That's why we put these materials. We need to have animals to eat vegetation, but perhaps we don't need to have too much, too many, and perhaps, and for montado, for sure, it will be better to have sheep. The areas where we have cattle, we have very poor biodiversity, water curses, and some islands without cows, where we found more biodiversity. And then we create more ecological corridors. We put fences to avoid cattle go inside.
It sounds like the cows don't help much. But is it because they are lucrative? They bring good money?
It's the common agriculture policy that pays to have cows.
Yeah. Vamos a ver, é assim, a máquina em cortiça grossa faz muito bom serviço, percebe? Porque evita nós gastarmos muita força para cortar a cortiça, mas é evidente que a máquina pode ser muito boa, mas a machada, se não for a machada, não termina.
As arrobas tiraste ontem? 600. Quantas machadas eram?
Está 100 kg depois.
600 a dividir por 16 dá 37 arrobas e meia por homem, vezes 15. 562 quilos e meio, 563 quilos cada.
Arrobas ou quilos? Arrobas ou quilos?
Quilos?
Quilos.
Então 37 arrobas e meio. 37.
It's a figure
15.
of the forest, so
Não.
everyone that comes here knows Freitas and talk with him. I think that he was 13 years old when he started working with Grupo Moinho.
Muitas mudanças, desde a extração, o que é igual quando eu vim para cá é tirando o novo sistema das máquinas, é a extração. De resto os tiradores vinham para cá e só saíam desta propriedade quando terminasse a extração. Ficavam cá, faziam camaradas, cubatas, né? Faziam o almoço, havia uma senhora que fazia aquelas panelinhas, fazia o almoço, dormiam aí, traziam concertina, faziam toda a espécie. Isso acabou. Hoje eles vêm diariamente e seguem diariamente. Fazia-se pilha de cortiça, hoje já não se faz, tira-se e carrega-se. Sim, totalmente diferente. Não há invernos, chove muito menos na primavera, o clima mudou radical. A qualidade de cortiça piorou, principalmente no calibre. Mais refúgio, porque os delgados têm tendência a criar mais prego, ficam mais fracos, mas o que se nota mais é a baixa de calibre. E eu chegava aqui com os meus colegas que tinham 35 anos, 40 anos de floresta, e a gente parava aqui o carro, dávamos uma volta, íamos vendo a cortiça. Hoje não, hoje fazemos uma grelha no computador e marcamos pontos e vamos a cada ponto, tiramos as 5 árvores mais próximas no sentido do ponteiro do relógio, tiramos uma amostrazinha que se chama macala e vamos apontando se é cheia, se é má, se é fraca, e depois compilamos aquilo tudo e chegamos a um valor mais correto de valor da cortiça. Eu diria, antigamente era a olhómetro, hoje é mais sofisticado.
É mais fácil com a máquina?
Não é tão difícil.
Ok.
Não é tão É diferente.
Diferente.
O olho humano. 30 de altura e 50 de perímetro.
que a gente põe é o ano que se tira a cortiça.
Sim, sim, entendo.
Para um ano põe-se o 3.
Por quantos anos você trabalha com a coteca?
Há quantos anos eu trabalho nisto?
Uhum.
Ora, há 40.
40.
40.
Tá.
Ou mais ainda, um bocadinho. Pois.
Gostou?
Gosto. Tenho 61 anos e ando nisto.
É um trabalho duro?
É duro, muito duro. Pelo menos nestes dias muito calor, é muito duro.
It was not such a productive forest here. It was struggling, and we decided to take the eucalyptus and implement this project with a new forest, Cork oak forest in this area. So it's more or less 240 hectares of plantations. Soon this area will be recovered in terms of vegetation, shrubs, native plants, and so on. So in terms of sustainability, we are restoring an area, we are improving this area with a much higher number of trees per hectare. So with that, a lot of things comes together: the CO2 retention, the growth of a new kind of forest here, and a new habitat for a lot of plants and animals that are supported by the structure of montado. You have just the expectation of a good cork production in a time scale of 40 to 50 years, because you can have the first extraction between 20 to 25, then the next one after 9, and then and that's the second one, and it's not such a good quality yet, and you have to wait for the third extraction to have the really good quality of cork. So it's a huge window of time, and it's quite difficult for nowadays the forest oak cork producers to make the decision to plant, because it's not for them, it's not for their children, maybe it's for their grandchildren. It's a good example, and what we have to do now is to train this tree in terms of structure.
Yeah, it's already quite thick.
It is. Yeah. So you can see this tree was planted 2.5 years ago in a small. It was a small plant, but in this area you can have good examples. If you look down, you have others. And for instance, here you can see what I was talking about. This tree was alive. This tree was alive. It's not anymore. And the reason for this to happen is the small mouses that are eating the roots, and this is a quite a huge problem. But it's a natural environment, so we have to face this. So we have to replant this tree, and that's also a challenge in terms of management.
Does this problem with the mouse indicate a lack of predators? For example, owls?
One of the strategies is to improve, and we are doing here to put nests for aves de rapina, how you say it, raptors, and owls.
Vultures.
Yeah. The main idea is to pump water to this reservoir, and from this reservoir we can water the 240 hectares, not at the same time, of course. We have cycles of every day each sector, and just to have you one idea, we are watering once a week, so it's during the hot season.
Around it.
I've been working for the Lynx program for 14 years now, and I've never seen an Iberian lynx in the areas we are working. Not that it doesn't exist there, it does exist. It's not an easy species to observe. I've seen some signals of its presence. I've seen it other places, but we're actually working with habitat and prey, the structure of the habitat. So the Iberian lynx is what represents all this structure, because if the structure is there, if the Iberian lynx has conditions to be there, all the other species also have. In the 19th century, the Iberian lynx was present in all the Iberian Peninsula. The landscape suffered many changes, and in the central region you now have these intense forests, and with a lot of eucalyptus and other species more addressed at production forestry. But it was not always like that. And the Iberian lynx would exist in this landscape, which is like a mosaic, where you have forests, but you also have pastures and more open areas. So in other times, it could be normal to see the Iberian lynx also present in that landscape. It's now severely transformed, and it's not suitable for a species like this. And many of the areas we are working, the only thing that is lacking now is the prey, because we have the habitat structure, we have this mosaic, we have these more dense areas. For shelter, we have these more open areas where it can feed on its natural prey, and the only thing that is lacking now is the wild rabbit.
So one would expect government organizations to be defensive about our actions, but actually we were able to get cooperation from the Institute of Nature Conservation and from the hunting services. Mm-hmm. So they actually collaborated with us, and if you look at the poster, it says here that it has the support of those two organizations, and of course of the Faculty of Sciences of the University of Lisbon. This would not happen now.
We are lacking breeding shelter because we do not have big old trees in the structure of the landscape. One of the improvements we gave to its habitat was this experimental measure of the artificial dance. And one of the most interesting things is because we are using nature in an artificial way to recreate these natural shelters that should exist. So these big bands represent to us a big old cork tree. Not many years ago, human persecution was also an important threat. And the perception people had from the Iberian lynx was that it ate too many rabbits, it was a top predator, so it was a competitor. Some people even thought it was dangerous. It could harm people. So this misconception, this lack of knowledge was very difficult to fight. One of the Lynx program's main lines of work was environmental education and information of local communities to talk about the species, its ecology, to talk about its role as a top predator, and how actually it should not be seen as a competitor, but as a species that helps or contributes to local communities' goals also. And when people started to realize that the Iberian lynx was something very positive, even to local activities like tourism, their perception of the species changed. So before taking care of the Iberian lynx, we should take care of people who are managing that landscape, informing them, being there with them.
This is a small place, around 10 hectares, so it's very big for me.
Yeah.
But it's only how to say, it's like a little garden. No, it seems that it's the buzzer. I saw so fast, and this some light feeders with the light. I think I'm mistaken. I make an intervention 10 years ago. At the time this area was much more covered with acacias and all that. So, but we cut the acacias and we tried to save any oak or other tree that was there. So the idea is to reduce the speed and the intensity of the fire. In a normal fire, I maybe stop, but we have sometimes not normal fires.
Yeah.
You have to run. There is no. If you can have all the water that you, but the water will
evaporate.
You know, before arriving the fire.
Yeah.
There is no way to escape. If the wind is go to you, you will die if you don't run. Years ago, this is full of acacias. We cut, put like a line there. The rest we don't touch. Now we start. Now 1 year and a half something to cut. Also the inside. When you make this, you connect. So she will die slowly. And this point is like I prefer this for instance because it will be much more expensive for instance or difficult and sometimes impossible to cut a tree without injure the others. The ones that I want to keep. You see all this? You see it all everything. All the soil, seeds. This, and they can stand in the soil. Some say 100 years, some say 50 years. I don't know. And if they will be here much after I'm dead. You can have kilometers only with acacia because they will kill everything. They grow so fast. They can grow 2 meters in 1 year. And they grow much faster than any other thing. They kill the other trees because they cut the light. So they die because the acacias kill them, but they die in last. It's why you can see them. The others die fast. You have already a nice place.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, if you take out the acacias and that. But all this was covered until there with acacias. I have all my hooks are never harvested.
Okay.
I never that. Sometimes someone appears to offer money, but I always prefer not. You can have cork hooks, and you can have in the same place, for instance, pine trees. You can have madroño. You can also you can have. I already see this in the south, for instance. You can have different because it's more open stands, not everything closed. You can have hunting. You can have how to say mel. It's like honey.
Male.
You can have mushrooms. You can have a lot of different how to say economic practices in the same place.
Yeah.
If you can do this, you have less fires, less intense, and you can have more people in the land. When I planted this in 2005, this above my bell. Only to say that it's not necessary generations to make a forest. On that stump, you see this big stump was a big tree, a big eucalyptus.
Yeah. Wow.
Many years ago, there was a big eucalyptus, and they used it was to be a nest, but not scared, it's like curious. Then there was a geneta. It's like I was a child, you know. So she came out of she was near the nest. She came out because she never saw persons or something like this, and I was stripping the tree quietly. So he's trying to understand what I was doing, you know. So, and she stayed, and I make like not noticed, and she stayed. This little one was there at least 10 minutes until someone called me, and the phone make a noise.
Eu sou a Margarida Gago, trabalho na Tapada já há mais de 20 anos e estamos aqui perante um belíssimo exemplar de sobreiro. Todos os nossos sobreiros já não são descortiçados desde 1940, este também é claramente o maior sobreiro que temos aqui na Tapada e o mais antigo. Tem cerca de 380 anos, quase 400 anos que tem este sobreiro e não é descortiçado desde a mesma altura. 25 metros de copa, de perímetro de copa e uma altura também aproximadamente 25 metros. Uma das características dos quercus suber é o facto de desenvolver esta capa que é a cortiça, que as protege naturalmente contra os insetos que as podem adoecer, mas também contra o incêndio. E isso foi muito claro de vermos esta proteção natural que a cortiça dá aos sobreiros quando um grande incêndio que tivemos aqui em 2003. Cerca de 70% da área total da Tapada ardeu e dos nossos sobreiros que infelizmente foram atingidos pelo fogo, apenas morreram 1% dos sobreiros. Portanto, foi uma quantidade muito reduzida. Porquê? Porque todos eles tinham a cortiça. Nós não retiramos a cortiça, como eu disse, desde 1940. E por isso ela serve de proteção natural. A cortiça vai crescendo de dentro para fora e é então uma proteção natural que a árvore foi ao longo dos tempos evoluindo e desenvolvendo. Esta parte aqui do vale ardeu, tanto que se pode ver um estudo interessante é percebermos através dos sobreiros que sobreviveram e da cortiça que ficou preta, ainda hoje, depois destes anos todos, conseguimos perceber onde é que o fogo passou e a direção que ele tomou, porque as marcas ficaram na cortiça e portanto consegue-se, quem sabe ler claramente isto, consegue perceber a direção em que o fogo vinha.
So this tree proves that how long a cork tree can live and how big it can get if it's not stripped. Is that right?
Não posso dizer que se ela tivesse sido descortiçada, se eventualmente conseguiria viver tantos anos. Não posso afirmar que sim ou que não, porque não é a minha especialidade. Mas claramente ela está saudável e certamente tem a ver com o facto de estar no seu estado natural, não é?
Uhum.